Reggie, greetings.
Good morning,
Good,
Paul. How are you doing?
doing great. Thank you very much indeed. It is
Hey,
1 o'clock. Yeah,
you look like you're in a good mood, Paul.
I'm always in a good mood when I'm chatting with you, Reggie. No, it's funny. Yeah, good observation. Where you got my pupil dilation, perhaps, or something going on there. But I am. Guess what happened last night? And against
What
all
happened?
the odds, and I've never seen anything like this for 35 years. The Republic of Ireland football team, which has been performing so dreadfully for the last 10 years. In fact, we haven't made a World Cup since 1994. That's how long? That's 30 years ago. Bang. They beat the former European champions, Portugal, 2-0 in Dublin. Yeah,
Whoa. Beat
yeah.
Cristiano Ronaldo and all the stars they have for Portugal?
Yeah. All the big names are there last night in Dublin in the lashing rain. And poor old Ronaldo got a red card for himself. It was a silly thing he did, but we were beating them 2-0 at that stage anyway. So we had it. But it was just one of those fantastic performances. And we've got a striker. We've got two strikers at last in Ireland who are great players. Uh, the fellow who played last night, Troy Parrott. What a name. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Parrott, for giving us your son, Troy. Troy Parrott, 2 goals. Oh my goodness, against Portugal. So we are in with just a tiny lifeline of a chance of going to America in the World Cup next year. In fact, it was America. 1994 was our last time we played in the World Cup in America. It was in America as well. So up to last night, it really there was no way out. We weren't going to qualify. We have one last game left in Hungary on Sunday afternoon in Hungary, and not Hungary, but Hungary. And if we beat them, we're in the World Cup. Now they've beaten us. They're a good, very good side. So they beat us comfortably in Dublin. We go over and visit them on Sunday. So I might be smiling or I might be depressed next week when we see you. But who knows? Yeah. So all good.
Well,
Yeah,
let's
it's
hope
good.
you're smiling.
Yeah. So that news made its way over to America. Yeah.
Yeah. I follow the World Cup qualifier. Some, of course, a lot of people here watching of interest. There's going to be a spot in Dallas where there's going to be some games not too far from me, within 40 minutes of where I live. So.
Right. Okay. Well, it's great to hear that word kind of ripples across the Atlantic Ocean. I mean, that was a huge night last night. That's fantastic. Really excited by it. But let's get down to business here. It's just after 1 o'clock UK time. Reggie very kindly from Fort Worth, Texas, has got up in the middle of the night, almost it seems to you there, and but you're up for your breakfast time chat to join us. It's 1 o'clock UK time. So today we are going to be talking about all things AI. Is it causing a thinking problem? And it really is. Is it becoming a bit of an issue? We'll then look at, do we really need this ever-present third AI device that Sam Altman's starting to flog? And then we're going to get into some nitty-gritty about how not to, and how to get your staff to adopt AI, the right way of doing it and the wrong way of doing it. We'll then look at a big error that's been exposed recently, and that's NVIDIA's $57 billion error. And then we're going to return to a topic that's a recurring theme, which is how to become algorithmically attractive. So some tips on becoming more visible, really. And then we're going to look and finish with some positive stuff, a robot drunk driver, which we'll have to have a look at. Then we look at AI for good. I've discovered an unbelievably clever and good, highly ethical use of AI to help us all. So we'll talk about that. And then a loneliness advertisement that's popped up. It was originally Halloween. I'll tell you why we're going to show it when we link it to the notes on prsmith.org/blog, because I think people might like to see it and share, particularly as Christmas comes upon us. A lot of people do suffer lonely times, so it might help people to watch out for each other. And that's what we're going to be doing today. Now, this is a busy old session, as it always is, but as I said, we post the notes. But there is a problem emerging again with kind of all things AI. Now, we've talked about this before, Reggie, but I think it's worth kind of summarizing our thoughts on this. Maybe we're trying to do the wrong stuff with AI. Are we going in the wrong direction? What's the big problem with pushing all things AI?
Well, I think a lot of the problems can be summarized by a quote that you might have heard making the rounds, which is basically that it says that I want AI to be doing my dishes and laundry so that I can do writing and art and creative stuff. I don't want AI to be doing my art and writing so that I can do my dishes and laundry. And that's kind of where sometimes it feels like our priorities might be backwards with this AI all the time.
Yeah, yeah. We did show a poster of that, and it does say, I think it says a lot about going in the wrong direction, and probably thinking about AI in the wrong way. So that's a nice little summary. Thank you for that. Which brings us to, do we really need this new ever-present third AI device, which is being kind of promoted by Sam Altman? So this is bad news for some of you. The phone is not the future. So if you feel you're kind of tied to your phone, well, it ain't the future. Why do I say that? Well, OpenAI just said so. Therefore, it may well be the case. So it's set to arrive next year. This pocket-sized, screenless device will live with you, sense your world, and make decisions alongside you. Now, this sort of raises massive cultural questions. Now, OpenAI have spent 6.5 billion acquiring Jony Ives Design Studio to make this happen, and their ambition is absolutely massive. They say they're going to ship 100 million units faster than any company in history. It'd be interesting to see how fast that will be, because the iPhone was pretty quick when it got out. But it's not a phone, it's not a laptop. It's actually being positioned as your third device. It's intelligent, present, and almost invisible. Now, we haven't time today, Reggie, but we're going to come back and discuss the positioning of this. So it's being positioned as a third device, intelligent, present, and almost invisible. And we'll show how getting positioning wrong in the world of marketing can destroy innovations. There's been several examples. We'll come back to that. We haven't time to do that today, but that's how they want to position it, as your third device, intelligent, present, and almost invisible. So, for example, you could say, well, what's on today? And it'll give you your schedule, your reminders, without having to lift a finger. If you're in a meeting, it'll be listening, and it'll surface context for you. It'll pop up stuff that you might want to refer to. At lunch, it'll suggest something that you might enjoy nearby you. At night, it reflects your day. So no more scrolling, no more notifications, just presence. Now, I found this written by Dr. Lolly Mancy. It was a great piece. We put the link to it on petersmith.org/blog. And she says, as an anthropologist, I see both promise and risk with this. So the positives are less screen clutter, great, new rituals of attention, and a calmer relationship with technology. It could be seen as a portable mentor. And, I mean, the Romans, for goodness sake, back in the year dot or year zero, they used to have prompters that would walk behind the wealthy people to prompt the name of somebody who's walking towards them, so the guy can say, "Oh, hello, John, how are you?" Or Brutus, how are you? So we had prompters, and so this is a prompt mentor they're kind of suggesting. So the same idea, except a bit further, more information than the rich Romans had. So those are the positives. I mean, it could be fantastic for people suffering from dementia or memory problems or all sorts of language issues, or foreign language for that matter. But the risks, the negatives, could cut deeper. So because us humans were wired for connection, we thrive on eye contact and reading facial reactions and all that, pauses and silences, all this kind of subtle stuff. Machines can't replicate this, not just yet anyway. So if AI starts to mediate those signals, well, trust will shift away from one another and towards this device. Now that is worrying. So, and then there's privacy issues, of course. But there's also the dumbing down thing that we do talk about from time to time. Do we want a device that's nudging us to eat our breakfast or take a break or reflect on our mood? Would you want this, Reggie? Somebody will tell you what to do?
I wonder, the idea of a third device, a lot of people may feel like my pockets are already pretty full.
Yeah, indeed.
I mean, that's kind of so when you talked about positioning, I mean, we'll have to talk more about positioning, but it sounds intriguing, but I have deep concerns of it coming from OpenAI, because if it's supposed to be prompting me and doing some of my thinking for me, I don't want Sam Altman to have the ability to affect my thinking if he suddenly decides or makes a deal that I want you to be more patriotic or less economically, fiscally responsible and spend more money,
Well, that's interesting you say that, because this is what Dr. Lolly Mancy actually says. These tools don't just extend us and help our functionality, if you like, but they can rewire us, and that's exactly what you're saying. We do not want. So every leap in technology comes with unintended consequences. So just to be aware of those. Now, Altman believes that this could be worth $1 trillion in value to OpenAI. So we know the stakes are, but this time the device doesn't sit in your hand; it surrounds you, with you, as you. So here's the real question: is this something we truly want woven into our daily life? Now, I'm feeling as I speak that I'm sounding like an old fart, kind of an anti-tech guy. I'm not. I'm very interested in AI for good, and we'll finish today with some really positive stuff. And the good could be for global citizens like health, communications, memory, Alzheimer's, cancer, land restoration, direct, travel directions, good for business, good for marketing. It can be all sorts of great stuff if it's used in the right way. But right now, we're seeing it's not being used very well. And we have talked about this before, Reggie. 95% generative AI pilot programs failing. I was told during the week by an expert in the field that actually that number is closer to 80%, even though it's MIT, it's closer to 80%. But still, that's a ridiculously large number of flops and failures. And so do wonder the use of AI and the adoption of AI. Now, Reggie, you spotted a piece during the week of how not to get your workforce to adopt. So the corollary, the opposite would be how to get your staff to adopt AI, as opposed to how not to do it. And you spotted an example of how not to get your staff to adopt, how to mess it up.
Yeah. So here's an interesting idea. Imagine your boss sends around an email to everyone who works for him and says, we need to move faster because our work is so important. The work that we do is so important. And the only way we're going to be able to move faster always is to be AI obsessed. So starting today, the first line in everyone's job expectation is simply this: default to AI. Starting with the next performance review, in addition to asking how much impact each employee delivered, we will also ask ourselves, how frequently does each person default to AI? And get this, if you reach for a Google Doc or Sheets before you reach for an AI tool, you are not defaulting to AI.
Oof.
I would feel like my boss does not trust my brain. They don't trust my thinking. That's what I would think. But this was a real curt, threatening note sent to employees of Opendoor by the CEO on his 11th day for the company, saying that what we're doing is so important. He was talking about returning to office, another contentious topic, and said, we're returning to office. That's it. We're not talking about it anymore. And then he says, we're all going to default to AI. And if you pick up my response is, how about default to your brain and decide what tool is best to solve whatever problem you're looking at?
Yeah.
And then whether that's AI or something else,
Yeah.
choose that. But why in the world would you default to AI? This sounds to me like one of the tech bros got in touch with this CEO and really got him enamored with AI. And he's just in love with AI because he says, we're not going to be able to do our work without becoming AI obsessed.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I get trying to get people excited by it and getting, to think of it and so on and so forth. But I would say for me, the default move is pen and paper, seriously, and write down the problem that you're trying to solve and then start thinking about AI possible aid. Might be another route. We did talk about this twice before, actually, Reggie. Once was Estee Lauder. Now, that was actually November 2024. And so this would be how to get your staff excited and using AI and adopting AI. So this is the opposite of what Opendoor were suggesting. So Estee Lauder have had great success of how to get your workforce into AI. And they've now developed steps to implement AI into the workflow. But that's kind of came at the end of the process. The beginning was to explain to people that AI could empower employee creativity and unlock insights, which they desperately seek, is customer insights to better serve their customers today. So, so that they could actually generate, new products and new ideas. So, the stuff that they have to do anyway, because it's always developing new products and tweaks of the existing ones. So here's something they said that I thought was very, very cool as a way of getting people into AI, was they said they want to protect their most valuable asset. What do you think that is, Reggie? Their most valuable asset, Estee Lauder?
Would it be a formula for a specific perfume or scent?
Well, that would be a product formula, perhaps. Yes. Um, well, they say that their most valuable asset is data, and they
Oh,
have 75 plus years of data. So not just talking about customer profiling and that sort of thing. Their product pipeline is actually influenced by massive amounts of consumer data from surveys, clinical trials, product usage, tests, all that kind of stuff, as well as the traditional sort of market research and data collection and sort of customer data that they would collect. And so they've partnered with OpenAI because they wanted an enterprise version of ChatGPT. Net result is that they have now developed 240 custom GPTs that help their staff work better, faster, according to how the staff wanted to do it and how they thought AI might be able to help them. So they what they did was their starting point was they asked the employees to tell us how you think you might be able to use it or how it might help you. And this is what we call ground up innovation. Now, our little chat club is the Sustac Plans Chat Club, where we talk about AI innovation and ethics every Friday, 1 o'clock, same time, UK time. And here it is. Here it is. Ground up innovation is going to help people um, to adopt and use AI better. So that's Estee Lauder. And the result is they've got a surging AI adoption with the GPT lab. Now we'll
well,
put a
not
link.
only that, but I would bet they're using it better because it's being done in ways that employees find useful for themselves. It's not being forced top down of you have to use it, and the employees are like, okay, I have to use it.
Yes,
You're like, how can we empower you to use it to
yes,
solve the problems you're dealing with in your specific job? So it's very
yes,
human centric. It sounds
yes.
like.
Indeed, and as with good Sustac planning, when you do the customer analysis piece and the three huge questions that come out: who is my ideal customer? Why do they buy or not buy? And how do they buy or not buy? Um, those three massive questions splinter into about another 10 questions below them. But that's a question that all companies struggle with or are desperate to try and get the answers to these questions. But if you said, well, could AI possibly help me get this customer insight into A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z? Let's see, could we get the AI to help us do that? The study they're really excited by, they're getting into it. And the other example I want to mention to you is, and we did this a couple of weeks back, we talked about the Singapore government training 150,000 government officers in mandatory AI. So there is a little bit of crack in the whip, I guess, with the mandatory AI. But I mean, it's the same principle of internal marketing. If you introduce a new database system or a CRM, customer relationship management system, into a company, it will be rejected if you force it upon people. They hope it breaks. And when it does break, they'll say bloody management, as opposed to bringing people with you. And to do that, we call it internal marketing, which means you've got to communicate with your team as to why you're changing to AI or CRM in the other case. You've got to tell them, how it's going to help them finish at 5 o'clock and get home and see their family, or get their bonuses, or do their job better, or survive as a company. You've got to communicate, and you've got to motivate them. And third thing, you've got to train them. So I didn't see any mention of training with your example, Reggie, but certainly the the 150,000 government officers in Singapore, they're being trained in AI at different levels according to what they want to do with it. So since they've started the training of 150,000 of these government officers in using what they call PAIR, P-A-I-R, their in-house AI assistant, which supports their work in research and writing, they have now co-developed 16,000 custom AI bots to automate tasks and improve responsiveness. And to improve it means personalized and so on. So this is part of a growing culture of ground up innovation, where you tell the people, we're going to bring in this stuff. If you want it, we can help you solve the things that are difficult at work for you. And so now they've got hackathons and incubator programs and tackling real operational problems. And they've got AI literacy courses for everybody. And they're doing things like detecting scams quicker and earlier. They're responding to cyber threats quicker. They're reducing online harms. They're going after nitty-gritty, well-defined problems and saying, right, let's see how we do this. And ground up innovation seems to be working. So although that was just a few weeks ago we talked about it, I thought I'd just mention it again, because it seems to me that you've come across an example of how not to do it. Now, we could be wrong. So, Reggie, we'll keep an eye on your case to see how does it pan out in the months and years to come if they have success. But I think the bottom-up approach should bring more
Well,
success.
and there was no message of employee empowerment, of like, we're going to give you the tools you need to do really well at your job and make you more successful so that you can be more satisfied with your work. I mean, even from a top-down approach, you need to communicate that.
Yeah.
But to start with the training and say, we're going to have you do training, is much more likely to be successful than we're going to start with the ultimatum that
Yeah.
if you're not going to be default to AI, then you're out of here.
Yeah, absolutely. You're out of here. So it seems to me like that's a big mistake. Their approach is the wrong way, as opposed to the right ways we've just mentioned. But speaking of big mistakes, here's a bit of a whopper we've come across. NVIDIA's $57 billion error. Now, this is written up by Ariel Cohen. And he said, NVIDIA have just dropped a paper exposing a $57 billion AI industry mistake. Or maybe it's not NVIDIA directly, it's the AI industry itself. And he says, big tech has spent $57 billion building infrastructure for a $5.6 billion market, which suggests a 10-to-1 mismatch. So the industry is overbuilt, betting everything on massive centralized models where most real world work doesn't require it, because small specialized models, SLMs, not large, not LLMs, but we're talking about SLMs, small specialized language models, are quietly outperforming large language models for most business tasks, and at just 1/30th the cost. So NVIDIA apparently have proven it now. So actually, it's not a NVIDIA error; it's an industry AI industry error. But NVIDIA have just proven this by saying that 40 to 70% of current LLM calls could be replaced by SLMs with zero performance loss. So what does that mean? Well, kind of brutal economics. That this is 10 to 30 times cheaper to run. Number one. Two, overnight fine tuning can be done overnight rather than weeks. And three, it can run on consumer hardware. Can you believe that? And four, it's fully private, no API dependencies on data leakage. So if this is correct, AI is actually decentralizing. Wow, now that is interesting. And the advantage is shifting from vendors to operators. And I think I'm begin to see that with the amount of ads and posts going around saying we can do this, this, and this, and that. So yeah, that seems to be a shift occurring. Now, we will post a link to Ariel Cohen, who wrote this very interesting piece. And he says that small language models, there is an executive brief with 15 high impact papers from NVIDIA, Harvard, Microsoft, and Snorkel. And they cover the economics behind the $57 billion overspend, how smaller models will cut your costs by between 10 to 30 times, the 40 to 70% replacement framework from NVIDIA's research, and a lot more. So we'll put a link to Ariel Cohen's excellent post, and you can download all that his work in this space if you want to have a little look at it again. So excuse me. So a major error by the AI industry, it seems like maybe an overspend there. However, let's get positive, because we always like to end on a positive note, and we've got about 7 minutes left. So want to have a look at how to become algorithmically attractive. That's a mouthful for your breakfast, Reggie. How can we become algorithmically more attractive?
Well, first off, context. Alina Jingan writes about this on LinkedIn, but what she's talking about is OpenAI's new job platform, which is an upcoming AI-powered system which is designed to match people with AI skills with AI-related jobs. So this is within that context. I think that's important to clarify, because not all of these might apply specifically to other areas for jobs. But what she says is she gives 5 basic areas with some sub areas. So we'll get through what we have time for, and you can kind of let me know where we need to carry on for next time. But her first one is to think AI readable first, human readable second. Well, I heard that and I kind of thought, I'm not sure I agree with that. But when you're talking about AI jobs, here's the reason: the AI powered platforms don't read resumes, they parse data. So what she says is that means you've got to be specific, clear, standardized titles, quantify everything, and use keywords. And I think this is not that different than just good advice for your LinkedIn profile in general. But then moving on, she says, what to do on your LinkedIn right now is, of course, we know that LinkedIn is the primary real estate for really any job, but she specifically mentions the AI-driven job market. So your headline and summary, she says, rewrite them to be keyword rich. People do clever stuff, or they send a message. She says keyword richness. So it's kind of like we're back to keyword stuffing. Paul, you remember the keyword stuffing
Yeah,
days?
yeah.
Anyway, and then your skills section is be meticulous and make sure you're spending time focusing on that and publishing content and engaging with AI leaders. And then number 3 is position for perfect match systems. This in quotes, because AI platforms reward signal density. That means multiple overlapping data points that confirm a capability. So cross-linking, making sure your profiles, portfolios, and certifications all point back to each other. Can definitely see the value in that. That's definitely an SEO principle that makes sense. And so the computers work the same way when it comes to AI job matching. Then build an AI enhanced portfolio, which involves, she says, showing, don't just tell, create a portfolio that shows how you've used AI tools to create results, to solve a problem, to save money, to create impact, and to share it publicly. And then number 5 is a mental shift, is stop applying and start being found, because she says, here's a quote, legacy job hunting is about pushing and the future is about pull, and that's about being found as opposed to going and pushing yourself out there, which is an interesting, that's similar to what content marketing is about. That's similar to what the flywheel model of inbound marketing is all about, is being found as opposed to pushing. So she says the future isn't just about learning new tools. It's about fundamentally changing how you present your professional self to be found by these AI tools.
Nice one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, think AI readable first and human readable second. 2, what to do on LinkedIn right now. 3, position for perfect match systems. 4, build an AI enhanced portfolio. 5, mental shift, stop applying, start being found. Okay, we'll post the details of all of that. Thank you, Reggie, onto prsmith.org/blog. So the link it'll take you there. We're going to save our drunk driver story for next week. It's a fun one. We'll come back to that. Drunken robots drivers, should I say? But I want to finish with 2 positive pieces. One is I'll just mention it briefly too. I've only discovered it this week and I'm really excited by it. Is AI for Good, and this is about recovering damaged land. And a charity in Holland, Just Dig It, working with an app developer, NovioQ, and an AI developer called OutSystems, have created an AI assistant that's helping a lot of people, 120,000 people, to restore ecosystems. Now, what does that mean? Well, I think it's starting in Africa. We're going to find out, and we'll write this up and come back to this because this is really exciting for me. It's a real positive use of AI. So basically, this assistant you can download for free, and it'll help you identify what the issue is with your land. If you've got damaged land, or if it's eroded, or it's not being used to grow food or plants or animals or whatever, it can recover damaged land. It'll show you how to recover damaged land, which in turn I think will boost food production, create jobs, and protect land, and also protect land from ongoing environmental crisis. So this is a real sharp, simple benefiter to the world at large, to give this out to as many people across the world, and that's our goal. So I'm going to come back to that and have a look at it, because this is AI for Good, recovering damaged land. It's an extraordinary story. Okay, we've got 1 minute before we finish, and this is the loneliness ad. Now we'll put a link to it. It's an absolutely beautiful piece of work, and it shows a Frankenstein character being rejected and not being finding a girlfriend, and everywhere he goes, people freak out when they see his face and all the rest of it, except on Halloween night when everybody loves him and he's everybody's friend, and then he starts again and he lives a very lonely life. Now, loneliness is something that occurs at Christmas time. We're moving into Christmas period. So I'm going to put a link to this ad because I think it has legs. It could run right into Christmas or be shared as a Christmas ad as well. It's quite beautiful. But the really interesting thing is it's created by AI. Most of it has used a handful of AI tools and techniques. So Simon Meyer wrote the post and was involved in, drove the creation of this fabulously written and well-performed AI-driven ad. That's for the good of mankind. It's reminding us that the people are lonely out there. Watch out, and let's help each other, which is a nice note to finish on. Reggie, as always, it is always a pleasure sharing some time with you. I enjoy our chats very much. We'll post everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll post everything on pearsmith.org/blog. It is a small group. We have a small kind of live group. We get another 300 or 400 people afterwards that come in and listen to this afterwards. To all of you, both our existing listeners and those that come later, please, if you want, post a comment. I will always reply. It may take me a few hours, but I will always reply. Okay, we're going to finish out where we started, which was an undiscovered artist band called the Phoenix River Band, and this is a track called Vienna. It's truly beautiful. I wish you all a great weekend, and we will see you next Friday. So here is the Phoenix River Band, Vienna.
I suppose there's no doubt the world has changed. The light went out. You may forget. Can I recall the writings there still on the wall? Good night, Vienna. When the darkness comes, can't hear your voice at all. Good night, Vienna. Now the days are done, can't hear you when you call. And we walk down rose petal roads, now incomplete, but promise gold. The canvas kiss, unsettled score.